A while back I fell into a rabbit hole about smoking in the 17th century. Well, I don't smoke myself, but I do know a few people who do, and who are very interested in this topic, so I decided to do some more research into it. And from that I've decided to make a small video series about smoking in the 17th century. First we're going to talk about the history of tobacco and smoking up till the 17th century and into the 17th century in the Netherlands. We're also going to talk about how they purchased their tobacco, and we're going to talk about how they smoked their tobacco, and finally we're going to discuss 17th century stoners. To discuss the smoking culture in the 17th century Netherlands, we first need to discuss where the use of tobacco came from. The use of tobacco goes back about 10,000 years in South and Middle America, and the use of tobacco pipes goes back until about 2,500 years. The Amsterdam Pipe Museum has a good collection of pre-Columbian tobacco pipes. The Europeans will be introduced to the tobacco plant and its use during the expeditions led by Columbus in 1492. And at first they would imitate the smoking habits of the Native Americans. I couldn't find a trustworthy source for this story, but when you research historical use of tobacco by Europeans, you often find the story of Rodrigo de Jerez. Apparently he was present during the first expedition of Columbus. He brought tobacco with him back to the European mainland, smoked out in the open in the town of Allemansend. After this he was arrested for heresy by the Spanish Inquisition. From the story it's not really clear if he was arrested for heresy or if the smoking was deemed as heresy. But like I said, I haven't found any good sources to prove this story. So if you have any information about the story, please let us know in the comments. But still, the Spanish introduced tobacco commercially in Europe by the late 1520s. From this point, tobacco would be researched by professors and physicians, and after that it would be used for its alleged medicinal properties. A book published in Antwerp in 1576 says that almost all sailors returning from the Americas would smoke tobacco to stave off hunger, thirst, and to renew their energy and lighten their mood. In 1575, there was a garrison of British mercenaries stationed in the city of Gouda. A few of the soldiers noticed that the pottery ovens of the city would be perfect for the production of clay pipes. And by 1585, the clay tobacco pipe would have been the most popular way to consume tobacco in the Netherlands. The Spanish wanted a monopoly on all the trade goods coming from America. All the trade goods coming from America first had to go through Seville and later Cadiz before they could be sold to the rest of Europe. This was one of the driving forces for other European countries like the English and the Dutch to develop their own inland tobacco production. The English started experimenting with tobacco in Jamestown, Virginia in 1611. And the Dutch started their own tobacco plantations around towns like Veere in 1610 and Amersfoort in 1615. Dutch sailors were allowed to smoke tobacco on board of ships, but only on the main deck in front of the mainmast. On some ships, the crews would have demanded that there would be a lit lantern or a lit fuse during all times of the day for people to be able to light their pipes. Most crewmen would have brought their own stash of tobacco in their sea chest. The amount of tobacco that they brought is often surprisingly large, but it was also possible for crew members to buy tobacco from the ship's clerk. All in short, the popularization of tobacco spread from sailors and soldiers to the working class and to university students, and from there to the higher classes. By 1630, every layer of society within the Netherlands smoked tobacco recreationally. But the smoking of tobacco had its opposing parties, mainly the church. For instance, the first public smoking ban was declared by Pope Urbanus VII, who was only pope for about 13 days before he died of malaria. But he threatened threatened with excommunication for any member of the church who smoked within the church.